Hi, and welcome back to Daily Bible Promises with a Twist. And if you're wondering what the twist is, click on the eye that arrow is pointing to. You'll see that it will lead to a playlist of all these daily Bible promises, and the very first daily Bible promise video I do explains all of this. And no, I'm not twisting scripture. Today we'll first read from the NIV because that's what these Bible promise cards are written in. So let's go for it. You've probably heard this verse many times. God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. In the New American Standard Bible, it says, "For God has not given us a spirit of timidity, but of power and love and discipline." And I actually kind of like the NIV, where it says, "God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline." So God gives us self-discipline. That's an interesting concept. Perhaps it gives us opportunities to grow, and His grace gives us the power to apply self-discipline in our lives. But let's go into context here. If you want to read from verse 1 to verse 5, it gives you a little history. Paul is in prison. This is his second letter to Timothy. He knows that his time is running short, and Timothy knows that as well. Paul and Timothy share a very special bond. Paul knows Timothy's mother and grandmother well enough that he leaves greetings for them. There's speculation that Paul probably spent a lot of time with Timothy's mom and grandmother, that there was a special bond there, and that Paul probably knew Timothy when he was very young. But now Timothy is a pastor. He also knows that Paul's days are short. Paul's execution is probably not too far in the future. So Paul is writing a personal letter to Timothy, speaking from his heart to a young man who he loves very much. So what can Paul say? He doesn't have much time left. Let's start in verse 6. Paul says, "I remind you to kindle afresh the gift of God which is in you through the laying on of my hands." Paul reminds Timothy that although he may not be with him in the flesh, he has imparted much into Timothy's life, and he's inferring to Timothy, keep that fire going. I gave you that fire through the laying on of my hands, but now it's up to you to continue to feed that fire. One thing that Paul also reminds Timothy is that God did not give him a gift of fear or a gift of timidity. Instead, God gave him power and love and self-discipline. So when the times get rough, and they will get really rough for Timothy, Timothy needs to have that reservoir of fresh fire, that he's been stoking that fire on a regular basis. I think as well, Paul could be saying to Timothy, don't feed the flame of fear and timidity. Instead, practice those gifts of love, of power, and self-discipline.